I remember when I was growing up, I watched an interview on the news that surprised me. And basically what the interview was about was how most people who win the lottery become lonely, depressed, and unhappy. Like literally, like diagnosably depressed. And at the time, I was growing up in an environment where we didn't have access to a whole ton of money and there wasn't a whole lot going on. So I couldn't even imagine that. Like you just had the biggest thing ever happen to you. Like you just won the lottery and a year later you're depressed and lonely and isolated and all these things. And I was like, how on earth is that possible? And I thought that these people were ridiculous and spoiled and like, how could you have a financial change like that, like to that degree and end up depressed? Well, I've lived through some things in my life now that have let me know, oh, I get it. Like I get exactly how that happens. Not all change has to be bad in order for it to be hard, right? So changes that are on the surface are good, come with challenges. In some cases, those challenges are really, really difficult. I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to use experiences from my own personal life to share that. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. And, you know, I've been really fortunate in this life. And by the way, I don't want to sound like how I perceived that person in that interview all those years ago, talking about how many millions of dollars they had, but yet how broken as an individual they now felt and how much they struggled and all those things. Like, I don't want to sound like that because I don't, that's actually not congruent to how I feel. But, you know, some of the most positive things that have happened in my life have come with significant challenges. Like, as an example, I can remember going from like student to professional, and then going like in the early part of my professional years, starting my therapy practice, and then that therapy practice taking off and having some success. Some of my peers viewed me as arrogant, and they would talk about me as if I think I'm better than everyone just because I had a therapy practice that was doing really well. And it was really frustrating to me. It was very much like, no, this is not true. But somebody told me, like, if you're going to be in a position of success and leadership, you have to be comfortable being misunderstood. And I was like, but these people are misjudging me. I don't think any of those things. But it was just the way people started to perceive me based upon how they saw my success happening. Most of my peers, when we would get out of graduate school, we would all try to start a therapy practice, and then the therapy practice would struggle. The therapy practice would close. But there I was thriving. And then I wrote a book. And then I started traveling around the world, delivering lectures. And then I launched my online business, and that took off. And then I signed a TV deal, and on and on and on. It has come with challenges. I'm not as close to a lot of people around me. Like, here's the biggest change is one of the ways you have a really close circle is you and the people within your circle have shared experiences, right? So like you and the people in your circle, it's like we all have kids about the same age doing kind of the same things. But the life I started to lead, there wasn't a whole lot of people that had shared experiences. And I lost a ton of friends because of that. I didn't feel connected, close, or bonded to the people around me, even people I grew up with. Like it didn't feel close. Some of the friends I was able to hold on to, one in particular, Matthew, he just had a lot of empathy for what I was going through. And he was a very self-assured guy, and he was achieving his own success as a lawyer. Shout out to Matthew. He was achieving his own success. So there wasn't a lot of jealousy, envy, or any of that stuff. He was just my friend. And he had a level of understanding for what I was going through was difficult, when other people would just think because what I was going through was positive was easy. But that was a change I had to get used to. And it came with grief. It came with isolation. It came with loneliness. It came with challenges. So just because it was a good change, my businesses were doing well and things were taking off, and I was traveling and I was living out a dream, literally living out a dream. But it came with its challenges that I had to figure out a way to overcome. So remember, guys, like there's going to be a positive change in your life. You're going to get that promotion, or you're going to get that job that's going to cause you to move. Like these things are going to happen. You're going to get into a new relationship and your friends won't like that new partner, whatever it is. Positive changes sometimes come with challenges, which is why it's so important that you remember you're capable of handling hard things. You're capable of getting through challenges. So I want you to think, like, what changes have showed up in your life that were positive that came along with some difficulties that you had to navigate and manage, and think about how did you successfully navigate and manage those challenges. Thanks for being here. If you wouldn't mind doing me a super huge favor, I would love it if you would share this podcast with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And also don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. And also follow me on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can search for my name, Elliott Connie, or at Elliott Speaks. That's my handle across all platforms. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.